welcome to this video. Now today I'm going to be doing the vinyl tag for 2021. So yeah, so something I've seen doing the rounds on the VC, so that I thought that I would chip in and do my sort of like entry like for it. There's just yeah, like 20 questions basically just about like your vinyl collection and music taste, so we'll just get right in there. So first question is a new discovery for you from 2020. So I've gone for, in 2020 I discovered the whole sort of Paisley underground scene. It was kind of like a sort of psychedelic revival thing that went on in the early 80s and sort of like I think in like Los Angeles, like it like sort of like originated from a couple of bands who I like were not familiar with, but like I've like grown to really like. So the 3 O'Clock were like one of like those bands. They had a couple of albums. This is their first one, I believe, and then also probably more significantly for me, the Rain Parade, great album. As I have like actually reviewed it. It's called Emergency Third Rail Power Trip, and it is fantastic. So yeah, for me, a new discovery was sort of like all things Paisley Underground. Next question is a quarantine purchase, so like assuming kind of like an online purchase thing. Again, I had tons of these. One that sort of springs to mind was this album by Blur. I picked up a copy of Leisure here. Again, just like a basic like Amazon purchase this, but a good album here though. It does often get a lot of stick, this album, but I think it's a perfectly half decent album. Yes, it's maybe dated a little bit like in sound, but I mean like what sort of early 90s album hasn't really? But yeah, there are some great songs for this. Like There's No Other Way is a great single, and also Sing is really fantastic too. So Leisure by Blur, I would choose for that one. Question 3 is an album that you want to get on vinyl, so one like which I assume has to be issued on vinyl, and like one like which like you want for your collection. So I haven't got really too many sort of like grails like left like to find, but one would be by XTC, and it would be the Wasp Star demos. I have got the Wasp Star album here. This is a reissue of it though. For the XTC's last 2 albums, Apple Venus and Wasp Star, they released these demo collections. So I have got the one for Apple Venus here. This is called Homespun. The one for Wasp Star is called Homegrown, which is a little bit rarer, and like yeah, like that would be like a dream purchase for me. But I really haven't ever seen it below I think £80 like is like the cheapest one like I've ever seen it go for. So quite a rare record, but one I would definitely I would definitely want to add to my collection at some point this year. Okay, next question up, number 4, is to show a box set. So I've got quite a few box sets I could have gone for, but I decided to go for this one, which is Lloyd Cole and the Commotions. This is called Collected Recordings 1983 to 1989. And basically, this just gives you a complete Lloyd Cole and the Collections, Lloyd Cole and the Commotions collection, CDs, plus a DVD. So there's 5 CDs in total, so you get the 3 albums which they've done, plus a nice book there. Then what else? You get some postcards as well, which I won't bother showing, and then the albums which are in here. So you get Rattlesnakes, a classic debut, Easy Pieces, which is a pretty good follow-up, Mainstream, which I'm not the biggest fan of. A lot of people do really rate this album, say it's his best one, but for me, like I'm a bit more mixed on Mainstream. You then get this one, which is B-sides, rarities, and outtakes, which is, well, what it says on the tin. And then you get more of these demo recordings and rarities, and some of these are great. They had so many unreleased songs. They could have easily released another 2 albums like Lloyd Cole and the Commotions, and they would have still had an almost flawless discography. But as it was, a lot of these songs completely like unreleased like until this box set, and then a collection of their music videos. And this was like very good value for money on Amazon, I believe, when I got it a few years back. I think it might have gone up in value now though, and it has recently been issued on vinyl as well. So yeah, that would be my box set of choice. Next up is to show a concept album. I've gone for an album by The Kinks, one of their 70s albums. You could have chosen pretty much any 70s Kinks album, was a kind of concept one, even though a lot of them are quite hard to understand. But this is probably one of the better ones, because it's basically about kind of like the life of like a rock star, being like on the road, and sort of like the kind of like consequences like of fame and like and stuff like that. And there are some great tunes on here. Sitting in My Hotel is beautiful. You've got Celluloid Heroes on here. Supersonic Rocket Ship, I believe, was recently used in a film or something recently, so that's got quite a bit of exposure recently. And then like other discs, like just live albums, like, but like the main album there, like, is like quite a good little concept album there. So yeah, The Kinks, Everybody's in Showbiz. Next question up is a band who changes direction. Now, I'm not really sure if this is just to be like, so like for like one album, like where like they've done something completely different and like then that went back to like their normal sound, or if they were always changing, always evolving. Whether like the example I have chosen probably could cover both categories there. It's the Style Council. So the specific example I've gone for is from Confessions of a Pop Group, which was officially their last album. Very classical sort of like influences on it, a bit of like kind of like pop as well, like on the second side, but mostly kind of like this sort of new sort of classical style of music. To then the following year, they made Modernism, A New Decade, which is basically like a Chicago house album, so completely different vibe to Confessions there. This actually went like unreleased like at the time. The record company were not interested in it, and like it would take about 10 years until it got issued like in some box set. Like then like only very recently put out on vinyl. So yeah, the Style Council, definitely a band who were always changing like their sound, like about like a little bit like from Cafe Blue to like Our Favourite Shop. Very, very, very different vibes to those albums. Next question up is to show a white label promo item. So I'm going to show this one. It is by Electronic, and it's a song Disappointed. That's the other side of it there, like Electronic Disappointed. This was a supergroup consisting of Bernard Sumner from New Order and Johnny Marr from the Smiths. And this song also features Neil Tennant from the Pet Shop Boys. So yeah, a real sort of like 80s supergroup there, and like a great song as well there. So Disappointed on a nice white label promo there. Next up is to show a compilation album. Now, this is probably one of my most played compilation albums, so I think it possibly could have featured like as like an answer to like one of like the following questions. I absolutely love this, which is the House Martins. Now That's What I Call Quite Good. Great title, and it is like more than quite good. This it's basically just like all you ever need like on the House Martins, really. Like I mean, although like the two albums are great as well, this basically just collects the best of those, plus a lot of B-sides and some single edits which are exclusive to this, and some sort of like Peel sessions as well. So it's just a real mix of stuff, but it's all great stuff. There's not a bad track like on here, like I don't think. So yeah, Now That's What I Call Quite Good by the House Martins. Next up is to show an album which has a bit of a story to it for you. So this is one I kind of struggled with a little bit, like, but I have got a sort of interesting sort of backstory about this album here. So it is the Blue Niles album, A Walk Across the Rooftops. So basically, like way back when I was getting into vinyl collecting, like my uncle had a small collection of records which he'd left like at his mum's house, like now my grandma's house, and like he was mostly a fan of sort of 80s indie stuff, so things like the Smiths and Echo and the Bunnymen, a bit of New Order like as well like that sort of thing. So kind of just as I was getting into like my vinyl collecting, these were all names like which I knew I actually asked like if like I could maybe take like some of like these albums, like the Smiths ones, like they've been like in like my grandma's loft collecting dust for like 30 years old. So so he was basically like yeah, can have like whatever you want from up there sort of thing. So I kind of like took a few and like then like that kind of got me going like with like a lot of like my collection. However then a few years passed and I kind of discovered this album somehow, and I loved it, and I was kind of like looking for it for ages like on vinyl, because it's not an easy record to find this, certainly before it was reissued this year. Like good copies of the album like were like quite scarce, so I was lucky enough to find a copy of it like at a record fair in Dundee. It's priced at about £25, 30 quid I think. I mean, like I said, it's a semi-rare album. However, the next time that I was down at my grandma's house, I was again going through my uncle's collection because my taste had kind of expanded a little bit. And then suddenly, what do you know, I see this album. So it's kind of like I didn't actually need to buy it like after all. Like if I'd been a bit more patient, I could have just got like a copy of it like for nothing. But it all worked out well though, like in the end, because the copy I got like at the record fair, I sent off to my good friend James Lobban over in Texas, where this album I can imagine is even rarer now on impossible to find. Like, so kind of like spreading like the love there for the Blue Nile. So yeah, like that's like my little story about that album. Next one up is an album which you think needs a vinyl pressing, because it's something that was never been issued on vinyl. And the one I'm going to go for is this album here. It's by Paul Heaton, and it's called Fat Chance. So, of course, the ex-House Martins and Beautiful South singer. This is his first solo album, and I think it is great. One thing I will also show, which is of interest now, is this, which looks like the vinyl, and you think, wow, like, how's he got that? Like, but it's basically just like a promo poster, like you see there, like you see there, like sort of like the reviews and that off it, and I've just put it like in like a frame because I think it looks quite nice. But yeah, never been issued on vinyl, Fat Chance, but I would just like love a vinyl copy. Think it would look absolutely great, and it is a fantastic album as well, like one of my favourite Paul Heaton albums, in fact. So yeah, would be great to get a vinyl issue of that at some point. Next question is an album which is very common, so a common album. This one is, probably as common as they come, but I think it's one of the best albums of all time here. It's Simon and Garfunkel's Bridge Over Troubled Water. So yeah, like, there's nothing really more to say about this album. It's just chock full of classics, and for me, one of the best albums of all time there, and very common for a reason, because it is so good. Okay, next question is an uncommon album, so something a little bit rarer. I've not gone for something completely rare, but this is an album which maybe took me about a good year to find. Never found it like in like the wild. I've still never seen one like in like a record shop, like a record fair. So I had to buy this one online. I think I got it like on Discogs or something. But it is by the House of Love, and it's the Butterfly album. It's officially called the House of Love, but they've got two self-titled albums, and it gets very confusing. But this is commonly called the Butterfly album. It's the second album, and it is great. It's a fantastic record. But yeah, just one which is not particularly expensive. It was maybe about £12 I paid for this, but I've never seen it like out and about like in like the wild before. So yeah, like if like you ever come across this like in like a record store, and it's a good price, jump on it, because you won't regret it. It's just a brilliant album, this. So yeah, the House of Love would be my uncommon album. Next question 13, is to show an EP. So one which came out last year is by Noel Gallagher's High Flying Birds. This is Blue Moon Rising, and I think this is the best of the 3 EPs what he's done. So they're kind of, it's got the 3 main tracks and then a couple of remixes there, but all 3 of these songs, Blue Moon Rising, Wandering Star and Come On Outside, are all fantastic. So yeah, a very strong release there from Noel Gallagher. Next up is to show an album cover that you love, and again, a lot of choices I could have gone for this one, but I have decided to choose David Bowie's Low. I just love it. I just love the fiery tones on it. I think it just is quite mysterious. It's a very strong image, and it just sort of fits the music for me. It kind of like when you think of when you listen to things like Subterraneans and Warsaw, where you can just close your eyes and just imagine like this cover, and it's a still from the film he made, The Man Who Fell to Earth, but it is just a great cover there. Really fits the album for me. Very striking image, like as I said. So yeah, this would be my album cover of choice. Next question is the records that you play the most. Now this again was a tricky one, because there's probably quite a few albums here which I do tend to go back to, but there's not one specific one which I feel that I play all the time or anything. But this is certainly one which ever since I bought it, I have consistently maybe every couple of months or something will give it a spin, and will always really enjoy it. It is the Big Express here by XTC, and I don't know, there's just something about it. It's just a very unique album in XTC's catalogue. It is very 80s. There's a lot of sort of production on it, but I think the songs themselves are very strong. Things like Seagulls Screaming, Kisser Kisser, This World Over's great, Small Town's fantastic, You're the Wish I Had, Train Running Low and Soul Coal is wonderful song as well. So I guess I have to be in the mood for this album somewhat, but most of the time I am, and it is one which will often get played. So yeah, the Big Express would be my answer for question 15. For question 16, it is an album that you had to have an original of. again, for me, I'm normally not too fussy about whether I have originals or repressings or like whatnot, but this is one which I had the repressing of it first, and then I just happened to see this at a record fair, and I thought, you know what, why not? Let's buy it. It's Costello's first album, My Aim Is True, and again, this is the original one. It's on Stiff Records, so kind of I quite like to get one like this because it was on like an indie label, and like I'm like, yeah, it's just something special about it, like really for me. It is one of my favourite Elvis Costello albums, so that is that is an original My Aim Is True on the original Stiff Records label. Next question now, number 17, is the last album that you bought. This one probably won't be too much of a surprise, but it was McCartney 3 was the last album which I bought. I won't badger on too much about this because I've done my review and it was my album of the year as well. But yeah, a great album here from Paul McCartney. Still like got it in him. And a great record here. Next one up, question 18, an album that you just didn't get, you just didn't understand the hype for it, you just didn't get what the band were trying to do on it, or like something like along those lines. And for me, that album would be Pink Floyd's Ummagumma. There's probably a few Pink Floyd ones, maybe, like I could have chosen the Final Cut, like I was originally going to choose, but this is the one. I just think, what were they thinking with it? It's like the first side is a live album, which is fair enough, you know, but it's only 4 songs. I mean, come on, it's like, I mean, yeah, they're quite long, but it's still, yeah, it's just four random live tracks, and like then the studio album, basically each of them worked individually to do like sort of like their contributions, and it really shows. I mean, Pink Floyd were definitely stronger when they all worked together and they all contributed to like one song sort of thing, but on this they really just sort of break it down and like just work like individually, and it's just not very good. I mean, there's maybe one good song, Grantchester Meadows, is quite a nice little folky song from like Roger Waters, but then the rest of it is just mostly crap, like in my opinion there. So yeah, Pink Floyd's Ummagumma, certainly not their finest moment, and for me is an album that I just don't get, simply. Second to last question now is to show a punk album. Now I must say I'm not the biggest fan of punk necessarily. Like, I mean, like I do have like sort of post-punk and so like new wave and stuff like that, but that like hardly counts as punk. But this is the kind of the closest one like I could find, and they're definitely a punk band like for like the first couple of albums, but whether you'd really call this a punk album, I don't really know. But it's London Calling by The Clash. I mean, just like a great album, but as I said, so many styles on this, it is hard to really sort of box this in like as like a punk album really. But yeah, a great record here from 1979. Okay, final question now is to show your favourite reissue of 2020. So this is the one which is probably was the most hyped for me, like I would say. I mean, like they've been talking about reissuing this album for many years. Finally, we got it last year. It's Tom Petty's Wildflowers album. So I opted for the CD box set here, and this is just packed full of stuff. So like I say, you get the album, the All the Rest, which was a further 10 outtakes, what didn't make the album, some home recordings, some live stuff, and then some studio outtakes as well, all presented in a lovely like little box set here, like and like booklet as well. It's all gonna fall out here like on me, but yeah, it's just really like lovely package of this. And yeah, this was reissued I think on lots of different formats. I think you can get like CDs, like a 4 CD set, you can get a vinyl, like a triple vinyl, and then a kind of like sort of super duper 9 LP box set as well. So yeah, like they went all out with this album, but well deserved, because for me Wildflowers is arguably Tom Petty's finest moments. So yeah, that would be my favourite reissue of 2020. So yes, I hope you have enjoyed my little contribution to the 2021 vinyl tag. So yes, I hope you have enjoyed the video, and I will see you all next time for the next one. Goodbye. You feel free.